Luna here. And the champagne glass shattered against the marble floor as Camilla's sister, Sienna, grabbed the microphone from the DJ's hands. The spotlight swung toward the table 19, the rejection table, shoved between the service entrance and the bathroom corridor where 200 wedding guests could barely see past the kitchen doors crashing open every 30 seconds. And now, Sienna's voice echoed through the Grandview Estate ballroom like a knife-scraping bone. Let's hear it for my older sister Camilla, 34, perpetually single, perpetually hopeful. The laughter hit like a tidal wave. Camilla's fingers went white around her napkin. If you've ever been humiliated at someone else's celebration, annihilated for someone else's applause, hit that like button right now. Welcome to the Formidable Revenge channel, and I love you. Where betrayal's this deep demand answers this brutal. Subscribe, because what happened next that night burned everyone it touched. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. This story gets darker before it breaks open. Sienna wasn't finished destroying her. She dragged Camilla onto the dance floor for the bouquet toss, manicured nails carving crescents into her wrist. Come on, Cammy. Maybe this will finally be your year. 23-year-old bridesmaids giggled as Camilla stood there, the ancient spinster among fresh college graduates. Sienna locked eyes with her sister, smiled like poisoned honey, and hurled the bouquet deliberately to the opposite side of the room. A girl named Ashley squealed as she caught it. Looks like Camilla will have to keep waiting, Sienna announced to thunderous laughter. Camilla stumbled back to table 19, past guests who'd spent the entire evening offering pity like contaminated gifts. Her mother Helen had apologized for Camilla's existence during cocktail hour. Her father Robert changed the subject every time someone mentioned Camilla's marketing career. Sienna's mother-in-law Catherine suggested freezing eggs before biological clocks exploded. Logan's business partners asked if therapy might help with her inability to maintain relationships. She was the warning label, the cautionary tale, the family's greatest embarrassment gift wrapped in a dress she'd spent 2 weeks choosing, believing tonight might be different. The rejection table. That's what Logan's groomsmen called it when they thought she couldn't hear. Table 19, where Sienna seated every undesirable guest she was obligated to invite but hoped would leave early. Camilla's tablemates included Sienna's elderly boss, who kept falling asleep, 2 awkward interns avoiding eye contact, and Great Aunt Phyllis explaining why Camilla's standards were unrealistic for a woman her age. Camilla reached for her purse, ready to disappear into the parking lot and never return. Don't move. The voice behind her cut through the noise like steel through silk. Act like you're with me. Her breath stopped. She turned slowly. The man standing behind her chair wore a midnight Tom Ford suit that probably cost more than her car. 6'3", dark hair swept back, jaw sharp enough to draw blood, eyes that held secrets and fury in equal measure. He moved like someone used to owning every room he walked into. What? Camilla started, but he was already sliding into the chair beside hers, close enough that his cologne, something dark and expensive, made her pulse jump. Your sister just spent 15 minutes telling my father's business partner how concerned she is about your mental state, he said quietly, his voice low and dangerous. Something about you being desperately single and probably clinically depressed. Thought you might want to change that narrative. Across the room, Sienna was gesturing wildly in Camilla's direction to a cluster of Logan's executives. Luna could read her lips, even from here. Poor Camilla, so alone, such a tragedy. Who are you? Camilla whispered. Dominic, Logan's cousin from Chicago. He leaned back, draping his arm casually along her chair. The gesture looked effortless, intimate. And you're Camilla, the sister who's apparently the family charity project. Heat flooded her face. She told you that? She told everyone that. His eyes tracked Sienna across the room with predatory focus. Your sister is exceptional at making herself look generous by making you look desperate. I've been watching it all night. Something in his tone made her look closer. There was an edge there, something sharp and calculated beneath the smooth surface, something hungry. Dominic's hand touched hers on the table. The contact sent electricity through her entire arm. Immediately, heads turned. Sienna, mid-sentence with the wedding planner, froze. Her perfect smile cracked like fine china dropped on concrete. Just follow my lead, Dominic murmured, his thumb tracing circles on her wrist that felt dangerously intimate. Let's give them something to really talk about. Sienna materialized at their table within seconds, Logan trailing behind like a trained puppy. Her wedding dress train swept the floor with theatrical drama. Camilla. Her voice climbed an octave, tight with barely controlled panic. I didn't know you knew Dominic. Old friends, Dominic said smoothly, his hand tightening possessively on Camilla's. We reconnected recently. Funny how life works. Sienna's eyes narrowed to slits. You never mentioned this. I keep my private life private. Camilla found her voice, found some buried strength beneath layers of humiliation. Unlike some people who broadcast everything for validation. The barb landed. Sienna's jaw clenched. Logan shifted uncomfortably, sensing the tension but too spineless to address it. How wonderful, Sienna managed, though her tone dripped venom. How long has this reconnection been happening? Dominic smiled. Slow, deliberate, dangerous. Long enough to know your sister is nothing like you described her. Nothing at all. The words hung in the air like a threat wrapped in silk. Sienna's composure shattered for just a heartbeat before she plastered on her bride smile and retreated, train whipping behind her like an angry snake. She looks like she swallowed glass, Dominic observed. She's not used to losing control, Camilla said quietly, or to me being anything other than pathetic. Then let's make her very uncomfortable. His eyes glittered with something dark. Because I'm just getting started. Luna watched Dominic orchestrate the next hour like a maestro conducting a symphony of revenge. He brought Camilla champagne from bottles reserved for the head table, made her laugh loud enough for Sienna to hear across the room, touched her face with the casual intimacy of a longtime lover when Sienna's photographer passed by. Every gesture was calculated, every word designed to unravel Sienna's carefully constructed narrative. Tell me something real, Dominic said during a quiet moment. Why does she hate you so much? The question caught her off guard. Most people assumed normal sibling rivalry, Dominic asked like he already knew the answer went deeper than jealousy. I was engaged once, Camilla admitted, surprising herself. The champagne had loosened her tongue. 5 years ago, to a man named Ethan Mitchell. Sienna was 23, fresh out of college, working as his assistant. Dominic's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. She told me he was cheating, showed me hotel receipts, text messages, emails. Camilla's voice went flat. I called off the wedding 3 days before the ceremony, canceled everything, destroyed my relationship with Ethan because I believed her. And later? Later, I found out she'd fabricated everything. The words tasted like poison. The receipts were from business trips I already knew about. The texts were taken completely out of context. But by then, Ethan had moved on, married someone else. Sienna had destroyed my relationship because she couldn't stand me being happy first. Did you confront her? Dominic's voice was tight, controlled. She cried, said she was trying to protect me, that she'd misunderstood everything. Camilla laughed bitterly. Our parents took her side. Said I was being paranoid, that wedding stress had made me unstable. I became the crazy older sister who couldn't keep a man because of trust issues. Dominic was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice held something Luna couldn't quite identify, something that sounded almost like rage. Your sister is a cancer. The venom in his words startled her. The band started playing slow songs. Dominic stood, extending his hand. Dance with me. Make her watch what she can't have anymore. On the dance floor, his hand found her waist. They moved together with unexpected synchronicity like they'd done this 1,000 times before. Luna could feel Sienna's eyes boring into Camilla's back from across the room. She's staring, Camilla murmured against his shoulder. Good, let her stare. Dominic's voice was rough. Let her feel what it's like to watch someone else be happy for once. But there was something in his tone that didn't match the moment, something dark and unfinished, something hungry for more than just making Sienna uncomfortable. Dominic. Camilla pulled back slightly to see his face. Why are you really doing this? His expression was unreadable in the dim lighting. Maybe I have my own reasons to want your sister uncomfortable. Before she could demand what he meant, Sienna appeared beside them with Logan in tow. Mind if I cut in? Her smile was strained, fracturing at the edges. Yes, Dominic said flatly. We mind. Sienna's mask slipped completely. I just wanted to say I'm happy Camilla finally found someone. We were all so worried about her mental state. Were you? Dominic interrupted, his voice sharp as broken glass. Because, from where I'm standing, you spent this entire evening humiliating her, the table placement by the bathrooms, the introductions as the family disappointment, the bouquet toss designed to maximize her embarrassment. That wasn't concern, Sienna. That was cruelty dressed up as sisterly love. The confrontation drew attention. Guests nearby stopped talking, stopped dancing. Logan grabbed Sienna's arm, trying to pull her away, but she jerked free violently. "I don't know what lies Camilla told you," Sienna started, her voice climbing toward hysteria. "She didn't have to tell me anything." Dominic cut her off. I watched you. I watched you humiliate your own sister at your wedding. I watched you introduce her as the family's greatest concern. I watched you throw that bouquet deliberately away from her while announcing to 200 people that she'd have to keep waiting for happiness. What kind of person does that to their own blood?" Sienna's face flushed crimson. Around them, whispers rippled through the crowd like wildfire. This wasn't the picture-perfect celebration she'd orchestrated for months. This was her dirty laundry being aired in front of everyone who mattered. "You don't understand our relationship," Sienna hissed, desperation creeping into her voice. "Camilla is sensitive. She always has been. She misinterprets things." "Stop." Camilla's voice surprised Luna with its strength, with its steel core. "Just stop, Sienna. For once in your life, stop pretending you're the victim when you're the one holding the knife. When you're the one twisting it." The ballroom had gone completely quiet. Even the band had stopped playing mid-song. Sienna stood there in her wedding dress, her perfect bridal image crumbling like a sandcastle against the tide. And for the first time in Camilla's life, Luna saw genuine fear in Sienna's eyes. But Dominic wasn't finished. He stepped closer to Sienna, his presence suddenly menacing, predatory. "You want to know why I really came tonight, Sienna?" His voice dropped to something deadly quiet. "Why I flew in from Chicago for a wedding I had every reason to skip." Logan looked between them, confused and frightened. "Dominic, what are you talking about?" "Ask your wife about Ethan Mitchell," Dominic said quietly, dangerously. "Ask her about 5 years ago. Ask her what she did to make sure Camilla's wedding never happened." Camilla's blood went cold. Sienna's face drained of all color. "How do you—" Sienna whispered, the words barely audible. "Ethan Mitchell was my best friend from college," Dominic said, his voice cutting through the absolute silence like a blade. "We lost touch after he moved here for work, but I knew him well enough to know he wasn't a cheater. When he told me what happened 5 years ago, how his engagement imploded because of manufactured evidence, I did some digging." Camilla's hands were shaking. The room tilted. "I found hotel receipts that were legitimate business trips," Dominic continued relentlessly. "Text messages carefully edited to seem incriminating. A systematic, calculated destruction of someone's relationship. Someone's entire life." "You knew Ethan," Camilla breathed. The fairy tale was dissolving. The rescue was revenge. Dominic's eyes met hers, and Luna saw genuine regret there mixed with something harder. "I'm sorry, Camilla. I should have told you immediately when I recognized your name. But when I got the wedding invitation and saw you listed as Sienna's sister, saw you were the same woman Ethan almost married, the woman whose life Sienna destroyed because she couldn't stand seeing you happy, I had to know the truth. I had to make her face what she'd done." "You used me," Camilla said, her voice breaking. "This whole night, you used me." "No." Dominic grabbed her hand, but she jerked away. "At first, yes. I came here to expose Sienna, to make her face what she'd done to Ethan, to you. But then I met you and—" "Get away from my sister," Sienna snarled, lunging forward. Logan caught her. "Sienna, is this true? Did you sabotage Camilla's wedding 5 years ago?" The entire ballroom was watching now. The perfect wedding had become a courtroom, and Sienna was the defendant with no defense attorney. Her silence was answer enough. "You don't understand," Sienna finally said, her voice breaking, cracking like ice. "Camilla always had everything. She was smarter, prettier, more successful. Everyone loved her more. Ethan was supposed to be my chance to prove I was worth something too. But he barely noticed I existed, even though I worked for him every day. So when she got him, when she got the perfect engagement, the perfect future, I just couldn't take it anymore." The admission hung in the air like poison gas. "So you destroyed it," Dominic said flatly. "You destroyed your sister's happiness because you were jealous of what she'd built." "I was protecting her," Sienna shrieked, but the lie was transparent, paper thin. Ethan wasn't good enough. Ethan moved to Portland, Dominic interrupted coldly. Built a tech company from the ground up, married a woman who actually trusted him. Has 2 kids now. He built a beautiful life, Sienna. A life Camilla should have had. A life you stole from her. Each word was a hammer blow. Luna watched Camilla sway, the room tilting around her. 5 years. 5 years of believing she wasn't enough, that her trust issues had destroyed her one chance at happiness. 5 years of Sienna's poison working through her veins like a slow-acting toxin. Camilla, wait. Dominic reached for her, but she jerked away violently. You're just like her. Camilla's voice cracked. You both used me for your own agendas. You came here for revenge, not to help me. I was just your weapon, your tool for hurting her. That's not, Dominic started, but she was already moving, pushing through the crowd of stunned guests. Behind her, Luna heard Sienna sobbing. Logan's confused, angry questions. Catherine demanding to know what was happening, what her son had married into. Camilla made it to the parking lot before Dominic caught up, his hand closed around her wrist, gentle but firm, desperate. Camilla, please, let me explain. Explain what? She spun around, tears streaming down her face. That you used me? That this whole night was about getting revenge on Sienna through me? Was anything real, Dominic? Anything at all? Yes. His voice was raw, stripped bare. Everything after the first 5 minutes was real. I came here with a plan. Show up, dance with you, make Sienna jealous, then reveal the truth about what she did to Ethan. Clean, simple revenge that would destroy her perfect day the way she destroyed yours 5 years ago. And then I talked to you, danced with you, watched you be strong and funny and kind despite everything she'd put you through. His voice cracked. Somewhere between the dance floor and now, this stopped being about revenge and started being about you, about wanting to protect you, defend you, see you smile for real instead of that fake smile you've worn for 5 years. I don't believe you, Camilla said, but her voice wavered. Ethan called me 3 months ago, Dominic said quietly. He'd seen the wedding invitation, recognized your name. Asked me to check on you, to make sure you were okay. He said he'd tried to reach out years ago after he'd figured out what Sienna had done, but you'd blocked his number, changed your contact information. He wanted me to tell you the truth about what she did. Camilla's chest tightened. Ethan wanted you to tell me. He never stopped caring about you, Camilla. Even after everything, even after building a new life, he wanted you to know the truth. That's why I came tonight. But I swear on everything, what happened between us, the way I feel, that wasn't part of any plan. Luna watched Camilla want to believe him, saw her want to trust that someone actually saw her as more than a charity case or a weapon. But trust was a luxury she couldn't afford anymore, not after Sienna had weaponized it so effectively. She pulled away from Dominic and drove home in a fog. Her phone buzzed incessantly. Calls from Helen, texts from Sienna alternating between apologies and accusations, messages from guests asking what had happened, demanding the full story. She turned it off. The apartment felt hollow, empty. She'd spent the entire evening believing she was being rescued, that someone had finally seen her worth. Instead, she'd been a pawn in someone else's revenge plot. Dominic had been just as manipulative as Sienna, using her to wound Sienna the way Sienna had wounded Ethan. At 2 a.m, someone knocked on her door. Camilla opened it to find Helen standing there, her face drawn and exhausted. Camilla, we need to talk. If you are here to defend Sienna, I'm not. Helen stepped inside, and for the first time in 5 years, she looked at Camilla like she actually saw her. I'm here to apologize for not believing you 5 years ago, for taking Sienna's side, for letting her poison us all against you. Camilla stared at her, speechless. After you left the wedding, people started talking. Sienna's college friends, some of Logan's groomsmen. They all had stories about her. Manipulation, lies, calculated sabotage. Helen's voice cracked. Logan's mother pulled me aside and told me Sienna had tried to break up their relationship twice before the engagement. We all ignored the signs because we wanted to believe she'd changed, that she'd grown up. But she didn't change, Camilla said flatly. No, she destroyed your life and I let her. I'm so sorry, Camilla. I'm so deeply sorry. The apology she'd waited 5 years to hear should have felt satisfying. Instead, it felt hollow. Too late, too little, too many scars that couldn't be undone. Where's Dad? Camilla asked. At the hotel with Logan's family. Sienna locked herself in the bridal suite. Logan called off the honeymoon. He's talking to a lawyer about annulment. Smash that subscribe button for the Formidable Revenge channel because sometimes revenge destroys everyone it touches, even the innocent. And Dominic? Camilla couldn't help asking. He left his number with the hotel concierge, asked them to give it to you. Helen handed her a business card. Camilla, I know he used you initially, but the way he looked at you tonight, that wasn't fake. I've been married 35 years. I know the difference between acting and feeling. After Helen left, Camilla sat alone in the darkness, Dominic's card burning a hole in her palm. Part of her wanted to call him, to hear his voice, to believe his feelings were real. But another part, the part that had survived 5 years of Sienna's poison, knew better than to trust anyone who'd started with deception. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. This is Ethan. Dominic gave me your new number. I'm sorry I never fought harder to make you believe me 5 years ago. I'm sorry I let Sienna win. You deserved better then. You deserve better now. Then another text seconds later. Dominic's feelings are real. I've known him 15 years. I've never seen him like this. Don't let what Sienna did stop you from taking a chance. Luna watched Camilla stare at the messages until her vision blurred. 2 men from her past, both trying to tell her the same thing. But could she trust either of them? Could she trust herself to know the difference between reality and manipulation? The answer came at dawn. Dominic showed up at her apartment as the sun rose, casting long shadows through her windows. He looked like he hadn't slept, shirt wrinkled, hair disheveled, shadows under his eyes that spoke of a night spent in torment. Before you slam the door, he said quickly, desperately, I need you to know something. Ethan didn't just ask me to check on you. He told me what Sienna took from you. Not just him, but your ability to trust anyone. He said Sienna turned you into someone who questioned every gesture, every kindness, because you couldn't tell what was real anymore. And I did exactly what she did. I used you for my own agenda. He took a shaky breath. And I'm sorry. Camilla stayed silent, hand on the door, frozen. But here's the truth, Camilla. I'm not sorry I came to that wedding. I'm not sorry I danced with you or defended you or made your sister face what she'd done. I'm sorry I lied about my reasons initially. But I'm not sorry for anything that happened after I actually met you. Because meeting you, the real you, not the broken version Sienna described, that changed something fundamental in me. Words are easy, Camilla said quietly. You're right. So let me show you. Dominic pulled out his phone and dialed. After 2 rings, a familiar voice answered. Dominic, did you talk to her? Camilla's breath caught. Ethan. Camilla. Ethan's voice was warm, achingly familiar after 5 years of silence. I'm so glad you're listening. I need you to know something. Dominic didn't come to that wedding for me. He came for you. He told me. I told him about Sienna, yes, but he spent 3 weeks researching her, tracking down people she'd hurt over the years, gathering evidence against her. He built a case because he believed you deserved the truth. That's not manipulation, Camilla. That's justice. And if he'd told me from the start? Camilla asked. If he'd been honest about knowing Ethan, about his real reasons for being there, would you have trusted him? Ethan asked it gently, but the question landed like a bomb. Or would you have shut down, built walls, protected yourself the way you've done for 5 years? Sometimes people have to prove themselves before we can hear the truth without our trauma getting in the way. The phone went quiet. Dominic was watching her with an intensity that made her heart race. I need to know something, Camilla said to Dominic. Everything that happened at that wedding, the dancing, defending me, the confrontation with Sienna, was any of it genuine, or was it all performance? The plan was performance, Dominic admitted. Show up, dance with you, make Sienna jealous, then reveal the truth about what she did to Ethan. Watch her perfect wedding collapse. Clean, simple revenge. And what actually happened? You laughed at my joke about the horrible chicken, and I forgot my script. His voice went rough. You told me about your marketing job, and your eyes lit up when you talked about a campaign you'd created for a nonprofit. You admitted you were tired of pretending to be okay when you were drowning, and I realized I wasn't acting anymore. I was just there with you, and it felt right. It felt real. Feelings aren't enough, Camilla said. Not after everything. You're right, so let me earn it. Dominic stepped back, giving her space. I'll leave right now if you want. Walk away, never contact you again, disappear from your life completely. But if you give me a chance, just one chance, I'll spend every day proving I see you, the real you, not the sister Sienna tried to destroy, not a pawn in a revenge plot. Just Camilla, brilliant, strong, deserving of someone who fights for her instead of using her. The sun had fully risen now, casting long shadows across the doorway. Luna watched Camilla stand at a crossroads, retreat into safety or risk trusting again, risk believing someone could see her worth. She made her choice. One chance, Camilla said. But we do this right. No more secrets, no more hidden agendas. Just brutal honesty, even when it's ugly. Dominic's relief was palpable. Deal. 3 days later, Sienna called. I need to see you. Her voice was small, broken. Please, Camilla, just listen. They met at Morrison's coffee house. Neutral territory. Sienna looked terrible. Makeup smudged, hair unwashed, the glossy perfection completely stripped away, revealing something raw and damaged underneath. I destroyed everything, Sienna said quietly. My marriage, my family, my reputation. Everyone knows what I did to you. Good, Camilla said coldly. You should face consequences. I know. I deserve this. All of it. Sienna twisted her napkin into knots. But I need you to understand why I did it, not to excuse it, just to understand. Jealousy. You already admitted it. It was more than jealousy. Sienna's voice cracked. Growing up, you were everything I wasn't. Smarter, prettier, more confident. Mom and Dad adored you. Teachers loved you. Boys wanted you. And I was just the little sister who existed in your shadow, who was never quite good enough. So you tried to destroy me, Camilla said flatly. I tried to become you. Sienna looked up, tears streaming. I thought if I could take something from you, something important, I'd finally matter. When Ethan came along, this successful, kind, perfect man who chose you over everyone else, it broke something in me. I couldn't stand watching you have everything again, so I took it away. And it felt good, Camilla said, remembering Sienna's earlier confession. Yes, for a moment, watching your wedding fall apart, I felt powerful instead of invisible. I felt like I mattered. Sienna's voice went hollow. But now I understand what I actually destroyed. Not just your relationship with Ethan, your ability to trust anyone, your relationship with our parents, your belief in your own worth. I turned you into someone who questions every kindness, who can't accept love because she's waiting for the betrayal. I did that, and I can never undo it. No, Camilla agreed quietly. You can't. I'm moving to Austin. Logan's lawyer advised it. Fresh start away from everyone who knows what I did. Sienna stood, leaving cash on the table for her untouched coffee. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I needed you to know what I did to you haunts me every day, and it always will. She walked out of Camilla's life. Luna watched Camilla sit there for a long time, processing. The revenge she'd dreamed of, Sienna losing everything. Facing public humiliation, her perfect life crumbling, had happened. But it didn't feel the way she'd imagined. There was no triumph, just hollow satisfaction mixed with something that might have been pity. Dominic found her there an hour later. How did it go? She's gone, moving to Austin. It's over. Is it? Dominic asked gently. Or is it just beginning? Luna knew what he meant. The revenge was complete. Sienna had lost everything. But truly moving forward, truly healing, meant doing something harder than revenge. It meant choosing to trust again, to believe she deserved love. Not because someone rescued her, but because she was inherently worth loving. Let's find out, Camilla said. 6 months later, they stood in the same hotel where they had met, but this time, Camilla wasn't trapped at a rejection table. She was hosting an exhibition for her marketing firm's biggest campaign, a project she'd nearly turned down because imposter syndrome told her she wasn't ready. Dominic had convinced her otherwise, not by rescuing her, but by reminding her of her own strength. Nervous? He asked, adjusting her collar. Terrified, she admitted. What if I fail? Then you fail and try again. Because you're Camilla Torres, the woman who survived her sister's betrayal, rebuilt her life from scratch, and refused to let anyone tell her she wasn't enough. He kissed her forehead. You've got this. The exhibition was a triumph. Clients loved the campaign, her boss offered her a promotion, and somewhere in the middle of it all, surrounded by people who respected her work rather than pitied her single status, Camilla realized something crucial. She didn't need Dominic to validate her worth. His presence in her life was a choice she made actively every day, not a rescue she required to feel complete. After the event, they walked along Harbor Drive, the city lights reflecting off the water like stars. "I heard from Ethan yesterday," Dominic said casually. "He's engaged again, invited us to the wedding." "What did you tell him?" "That we'd be there if you're comfortable with it." Luna watched Camilla consider it. Seeing Ethan again, the man whose loss had defined 5 years of her life, should have terrified her. Instead, she felt curious, hopeful even. "I think I am," she said. "Comfortable, I mean. It's strange. For so long, losing Ethan felt like losing my one shot at happiness. Now it just feels like a chapter that ended so a better one could begin." "Because of what happened?" Dominic asked. "Especially because of that." She stopped walking, turned to face him. "You came to Sienna's wedding with an agenda. You used me as part of a revenge plot. And somehow, through all that manipulation and deception, something real emerged. Not despite the lies, but because it forced both of us to be honest about what we actually wanted." Dominic pulled her close. "And what do you want, Camilla?" "This, you, but on my terms, as an equal." She met his eyes. "Not as a rescue. I want a relationship built on choice, not on trauma bonding over my sister's cruelty." "Deal," he said, and kissed her under the streetlights. Later that week, Camilla called Ethan. The conversation was awkward at first. Too many years. Too many wounds that had scarred over but never fully healed. But slowly, they found their rhythm. He apologized for not fighting harder for the truth 5 years ago. She apologized for not trusting him, for believing Sienna's lies so completely. They both acknowledged what Sienna had stolen and agreed to stop letting her theft define them. "I'm happy for you," Ethan said before they hung up. "Dominic's a good man. Better than I was back then when I was younger and less sure of myself." "You were a good man, too," Camilla replied. "We were just young, and Sienna was poison. We didn't stand a chance against that level of calculated destruction." "But you do now," Ethan said. "Don't waste it." She didn't plan to. Sienna never came back from Austin. Occasionally, Luna noticed Camilla would see her social media posts, carefully curated images of a new life, new friends, new persona. The comments were always limited, the photos staged. She'd built another perfect facade, but Luna suspected it was as hollow as the first one. Camilla felt no satisfaction in Sienna's exile, no triumph in her loneliness, just a quiet recognition that some people are too damaged to fix themselves, too proud to accept help or admit fault. Sienna had destroyed Camilla's life to feel powerful, and in doing so, she destroyed her own. The revenge Camilla had craved hadn't required her to do anything except survive. Sienna had been her own worst enemy all along. A year after the wedding, Dominic proposed, not in some grand gesture designed to humiliate Sienna or prove a point to anyone watching, but quietly on a Tuesday night after they'd spent 3 hours assembling furniture and arguing about whether the instruction manual was upside down. "Marry me," he said, handing her a glass of wine and a ring. "Not because it'll show your sister anything or prove a point to anyone else. Marry me because you choose this. Choose us every single day." She said yes. Their wedding was intimate. 30 people who actually cared about them, who celebrated their happiness without hidden agendas. Ethan and his fiancée came. Helen and Robert attended, tentatively rebuilding the bridges they'd burned. Sienna received an invitation, but didn't respond. Luna hoped Sienna was healing somewhere, building a real life instead of a performed one. But Camilla couldn't save her sister. She could only save herself. As Dominic and Camilla danced their first dance, Luna watched her think about revenge, how it had consumed her after Sienna's betrayal, how she'd fantasized about Sienna's downfall, her humiliation, her pain, how she'd gotten everything she wanted and discovered it tasted like ashes. The real revenge wasn't Sienna's destroyed marriage or her exile or her public humiliation. The real revenge was Camilla standing in a room full of people who loved her authentically, marrying a man who saw her worth without needing to rescue her, finally believing she deserved happiness without having to earn it through someone else's downfall. Sometimes the best revenge isn't served at all. Sometimes it's just living well enough that the people who tried to break you become irrelevant to your happiness, become footnotes in your story instead of entire chapters. That's how you win. If this story spoke to you, subscribe to the Formidable Revenge channel for more tales of justice, resilience, and second chances. Comment below, sharing where you're watching from and whether you believe some betrayals can transform into blessings in disguise. Sometimes the cruelest wounds lead us exactly where we need to go. The universe has a strange sense of humor about justice, and sometimes that humor leads to something better than revenge. It leads to peace, to healing, to happiness earned through survival rather than destruction. This is Luna, reminding you that the sweetest victory isn't crushing your enemies. It's building a life so beautiful that they become irrelevant to your joy.